everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to this week's episode of GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. I'm your host, Dr. Kathy, and today's guest I am super excited about because this is the research of all research. This is the guru. This is who I go to for answers. This is Dr. Stephanie Sullivan from Life University. So, hey, Doc, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you doing? Thank you so
I'm
much for
good.
having me.
You can tell how I'm excited I am because honestly, every time I hear you speak or see you at an event, I'm like running over to you because I want to find out what's new, what's going on. And I'm so thankful that we have you right here locally doing some amazing research for the profession. So I don't even want to waste any time. I really want to get into what are you working on? What's going on?
Okay. Well, we have a lot. So we have an amazing team here in the Center for Chiropractic Research. So there's always lots of exciting stuff happening, and it can range anywhere from we have basic neuroscience research. We've just finished up some studies which have shown some pretty cool changes in the prefrontal cortex of the brains of the individuals that we're working with. And for those of you who don't know, the prefrontal cortex is that area of the brain that really looks at executive function. So we've got that type of research all the way down to practice-based research and working with some of our volunteer chiropractors. So it's really wherever you'd like for me to begin.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's start at the almost the more common lower level denominator, right? That most people think of when they think about chiropractic research, and what does that mean for the practicing doctor in their community?
Okay. All right. So probably the most relevant for a lot of our practicing chiropractors is we've worked to create what's called Research Link. And Research Link is a learning healthcare community that works not only with the researchers, but it's the clinicians and the patients. What we've realized is we can design these amazing research studies, but if it's not relevant to the patients and the profession, then really does it do any good? So it may just sit on a shelf and collect dust in a peer-reviewed journal. So everything that we do in the CCR or the Center for Chiropractic Research, we want to make sure it's relevant. So Research Link is our way to really connect with the community. We call it creating a research ecosystem so that we're getting feedback from you as clinicians, we're getting feedback from our patients to design the ideal studies. And part of how clinicians can really help with this ecosystem, so we have a number of clinicians who have donated their time to provide care for our study participants. So for example, we have, let's see, what do we in recruitment right now? So we have a post-concussion syndrome study that we're wrapping up data collection at the end of this quarter, so at the end of September. So if you know anyone that's experiencing post-concussion syndrome, then let us know. So our what we call our chiropractors adjusting for research team, or our CART docs, who provide care to our study participants, then they're working with our post-concussion patients. We just launched a study in individuals with central adiposity. So trying to understand not so much does chiropractic influence a change in weight for those individuals, but how does it influence those underlying biomarkers? And it's the same for individuals who are experiencing post-concussion syndrome. There are these set of core biomarkers, like looking at brain changes, looking at autonomic nervous system changes, like heart rate variability. I think a lot of people have heard of that, but we also do something called impedance cardiography, where we're looking at the sympathetic. So heart rate variability really gets at the parasympathetic side, and impedance cardiography allows us to get at the sympathetic side. So we have both sides of the autonomic nervous system. So biomarkers like that, patient-reported outcomes, movement is such an amazing thing that we're really starting to see. Early changes in movement can reflect changes in things like cognitive function or Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, things like that. So looking at these biomarkers in patients with post-concussion, with central adiposity, and then upcoming in October, we've got metabolic syndrome and cancer survivors. So our CART docs and our Research Link team, we really are so thankful for for them volunteering their time. So that's one of the main areas that's kind of relevant. And as we learn information, we're sharing it with you.
So of course I'm sitting here like giddy and excited because this is such a long, 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 long distance from the research of 15, 20 years ago, which was neck pain, back pain, headaches, carpal tunnel. We have transitioned to a whole new level where we're not just dealing with pain. We're really dealing with how is the body functioning, which is what we talk about in chiropractic offices all the time, right? It's not how you feel, it's how you function. It's not how if you've got pain, right? Trying to make that transition from pain to the brain. But this research is what's really not only leading it, but it's fueling the conversations that we're able to have in our offices and in our communities.
Exactly. It's looking at these underlying mechanisms. They're really clues as to the vitality of the individual. So there are some amazing labs that have done some phenomenal work with low back pain and neck pain. It's just we want to tell a different story, and we want to really kind of open up the door and see how chiropractic benefits the whole individual. So,
which is, to me, it's important because for so many years I can remember chiropractors saying how we don't need any more research, the patients are the research, the proof is in the practice, and all those kind of sayings, and that is the reality. Like, we do see these things all the time in our practices, but yet we can't always explain them, or there's not really a good explanation for them, or we could just say, well, this happened with this patient, but we can't necessarily say that's why. And now the research that you and your team have been doing is really helping to quantify and solidify, like, this is what we expect to happen, and this is why we can expect that outcome.
exactly. We really see our role as telling the chiropractic story using the language of research. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
And taking it that next step from all these amazing stories and the changes that people are experiencing in their lives because of chiropractic. So taking that and then understanding what's going on kind of under the hood, so to speak, because then we're able to reach a broader audience, right?
Mhm.
Instead of just focusing on, let's say, one condition over and over and over again, because it takes repetition for research, right? That's why it takes so long to really make a change. But instead of trying to tackle each individual condition at a time, that's why these biomarkers of vitality and health are so important. So looking at how chiropractic can influence these biomarkers can really open the door for so many different conversations for how we can benefit.
And it seems like this is a more relevant conversation to begin with. And to be able to position ourselves as a profession that's standing out in the forefront, saying, like, we've always been about vitality, we've always been about longevity, we've always been about wellness and prevention and peak performance. I mean, you can just keep going on with all the words that we as a profession have used that now mainstream has jumped on. But to really position ourselves so far out in the front by doing all this research on the biomarkers and talking about vitality and longevity, this just gives us another tool, but it's a very valuable tool. And I think it's a very relevant tool right now.
Absolutely. And it's not, it's expanding. These conversations are expanding into other areas. So the National Institutes of Health, especially the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, are looking at things like whole person health. Because one thing the COVID-19 pandemic really kind of brought to the forefront was we need a new perspective on health. It's not just trying to find something from the outside that we can put in, but how do we strengthen the resilience of the individual? And that's where kind of looking under the hood at these surrogates and these biomarkers is really kind of a unique shift. So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. I just, it has me excited and more fired up when I hear about what you're working on, to say, you know what, let's go out, let's serve a more diverse population. Let's see the miracles in chiropractic again, right? And we've all seen miracles in our office, but I think we get numb to the same old, same old. We're like, oh yeah, I got another patient pregnant. Oh yeah, somebody got their hearing back, right? We've gotten numb to those, but this is so exciting to me. and hopefully to everybody else watching. Yeah, and I really do think that it is. So let's talk about some of the studies that you're really focusing in on right now, because I know there is a really big one, a really important one dealing with pediatrics. And I've heard one of the doctors speak about this many years ago when she was like starting this, and where it is right now. So let's talk about the pediatric study that you're working on.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So we're looking at biopsychosocial changes in school-age children receiving chiropractic care on site. So this is a collaboration with Doctors Lona Cook and Amanda Blonigan up in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. And then we're also working with the New Zealand Center for Chiropractic Research. And it's honestly, if I could do a little shout out. So it's one of our focus projects for our Founders Month of Giving. So if anybody's interested in donating, that's one of our key projects. But we're looking at, so they've had some remarkable changes in these school-age children that they've been providing care for now for several years. So now we're working with the New Zealand lab to really track those changes. We were just up there this past March, when they, of course, had a snowstorm. So it made it interesting for data collection. But we were asking the first question: can we do things like an electroencephalography, so an EEG with the children, where we also put heart rate, ECG, so we're looking at their heart rate variability at the same time with these children. So that was part of it. Can we apply cognitive testing? So, we had some different cognitive batteries that we were working with these children on. And there's such a broad range of children that we were seeing. Some were on the autism spectrum, some had ADHD, some were just right on it and didn't have any challenges. So our first part was, okay, can we do this? Is it feasible to be able to conduct the study on site with the children? And it turns out it is. So that was really amazing, getting to know the docs and getting to know the children. And we're currently in the fundraising portion so that we can launch an actual clinical trial again this January. So really looking forward to that.
So let me ask you, from a practicing chiropractor standpoint, two important questions.
Okay.
Number one, I'm sure money is a big issue. So how can a practicing doctor put their money where their mouth is and contribute? And what would be a reasonable amount of money that someone could contribute from their office? What would be helpful?
So our goal is to raise at least it's all total. It's going to cost around $240,000 to do the single pilot study this January. So we're hoping to raise $75,000 specifically for that study in the month. So it really is, every little bit counts, right? Whether it's a doc who just wants to, write a check and donate, or if we've had clinicians in the past do kind of a fundraising thing where they're working with their patients. So every little bit really does help out. So if you have a lot of people helping out, then it can make a big difference. So.
All right. Now, the second part to that question of how can we help out? I'm seeing, and I've seen what Dr. Luna has been doing, and I've heard her speak about this, and I think it's wonderful. She's been involved with the school where they go in, they actually are there in the school to adjust the kids. What is the feasibility, the probability, the possibility? What is the pathway that another doctor could take to duplicate that in their local school system? So would it help to have this research, or would it help to be contributing to this research to get doctors in their local schools doing this on a weekly basis as well?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So for example, we just submitted the manuscript we kind of looked at their patient reports and, tracked how did they change with care. So we had some really amazing results with that. I can't really share the exact details because we just submitted it for publication. But by us having that information, if there's a doc that's what they want to do, is be able to provide care in elementary schools or middle schools or high schools, they can take this research and say, hey, look, it's been done before. The school board has been behind it. It was the teachers that actually asked for it for the students. So isn't that amazing? So yeah. what we work to provide, then other chiropractors can then use to replicate this and let us know. So, are there opportunities then that we can track this from a research standpoint also, and then just continue to grow the story?
Yes. So that excites me because if you hold the big idea in your heart, right, and you have this vision of not stopping till every man, woman, and child on the planet is under chiropractic care and has access to chiropractic education. If you truly hold that vision, then think about how they got the whole world so far in this direction. It went back to the schools in the 80s, right? The 70s and the 80s when they introduced a program in the schools, and you all know what I'm exactly talking about. But they introduced a program in the schools to indoctrinate kids in a negative way. But what if we got chiropractors in the schools that were empowering the kids and teaching them about health and teaching them about self-regulation and self-actualization? What if we saw that in more communities? Because I can imagine the kids in where is it, South Chippewa? I can't even say it. South Chippewa Falls, right? I can imagine those kids are vibrating at such a higher frequency. What if that was in your community?
Exactly. And the children love it. Like, just it honestly, I was in tears so many times just seeing the kids come in and they just hop up on the table and they are so excited to get their adjustment. It literally does just warm your heart. So yeah.
Okay. We're going to look for more information on how to get involved with that. But tell us this: is there a link? And I know you've got one other study I want to ask you about, because don't let me forget about this one. But is there a link where people can contribute, whether it's to research in general or whether it's to this specific study? Is there a link that they can?
Absolutely. So if they'll go to our website, ccr.life.edu, and I can share it with you for show notes or whatever, but ccr.life.edu, there's a donate icon, and that will take you to our donation page.
Okay, wonderful. Now, I'm going to take a quick step away from the pediatrics and I'm going to take a step in the other direction. So, talk to us about longevity, because every one of us on this call, everyone watching, you're no spring chicken anymore. You're not 18 years old anymore. You're above 20. You're probably above 30 or 40 or maybe even more. And longevity is becoming more important. Mobility is becoming more important. Flexibility, right? All of this of how do we maintain this level of health as we are getting older, as well as our patients. So, what you got?
Exactly. All right. So the other project that we're fundraising for and that we hope to launch in January also is looking at, so taking these biomarkers, but a lot of these biomarkers are also associated with aging. So if you're at a certain level, then how can chiropractic care influence these biomarkers for aging? So wouldn't it be great to show your patient, hey, oh, you know what, right now your biomarker, I know you're just 50, but your biomarkers are showing you're actually like 65. And how amazing would it be to show them, look, 8 weeks of care. Now you're actually 45 in your biological age versus your actual age. How powerful would that be?
Yes. And,
So
and it's the fountain of youth, right?
well, think about it. We all have seen patients that it is almost like they're younger. Like a lot of your chiropractors, I mean, you look at it like, oh, wow, I didn't realize you were that age. So now kind of all these anecdotal conversations, we're actually doing the studies to see, okay, well, what's going on? How is chiropractic influencing these biomarkers for
Love
aging? So
it. Love it. Listen, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. If you're like me and you kind of, your eyes gloss over at the sound of research and you're like, oh, wow, I can't even fathom it, like thinking about it, I get it. I get it. That doesn't mean you have to do research, but it does mean that you participate in a profession that has people just like Dr. Stephanie that are willing to do this work that need funding. So whether it's giving up one adjustment a week, whether it's giving up, 10 adjustments a month, whatever it is, if you could contribute something, maybe it's on a monthly basis, maybe it's a weekly basis, maybe it's a one-time donation, but if you can contribute either time, talent, or energy toward research, what a different profession this will be for your kids and my kids when they decide, hopefully, that this is the path that they want to go down, or what a different profession it's going to be for your community in the next 3, 5, and 10 years.
exactly. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always excited when you come on, and I'm so thankful for it. Not only the work that you do, but your willingness to get out there and go to different events and share it and explain it in a way that makes it make sense and makes it relevant for us, because we need to understand not all the details of what you're doing, but the outcome of what you're doing, because that is what's so beneficial for our patients. And that is what is so beneficial for true chiropractic. So thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you. It literally does take a team. So we appreciate any opportunity we have to share what we do. So
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Stephanie. So listen, I'm going to give you that link again. It's ccr.life.edu. And there's a big button right on there that says donate. How easy can it be? Just go there and donate. Put something, put something, put something. The more you give, the more we get research, right? The whole you receive through, the whole you give through, you know that whole saying. So listen, I want to quickly just jump into the events that we have coming up, because this weekend we have South Georgia Continuing Ed coming up. It is Friday, Saturday, August 24th, 25th, or maybe that's Saturday, Sunday. I don't know. My brain's on another time zone right now. Anyway, it's there, 24th, 25th, georgiachiropractic.org. Then we've got 2 more CE events to round out the year. November, we're going to be down in Savannah. And December, we're back up here in the Marietta area for our annual convention. But our 7th annual Chiro Cup golf tournament is coming up on Friday, September 13th at the Marietta City Club. We have so many great prizes that you could win. We've got great sponsors. We have a lot of great players. There's still a couple spots left. So why don't you do me a favor and do yourself and your practice a favor and get together a couple of your patients? Why don't you put together a foursome, get registered to play, chirocup.com. It's a great day. It helps support chiropractic research, but it's also a way for you to bond with other chiropractors as well as your patients. So bring a couple people out, have a great round of golf for a great cause, and hopefully we will see you there. So with that being said, I want to thank you, Dr. Stephanie, so much for coming on today.
thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for joining us, whether you're here or live. We look forward to seeing you again right here on GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. Bye.
Bye.